Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Hello, everyone. How are you? It is so great to be on. I'm so excited to be here. So thankful to Reader's Magnet and the Festival of Storytellers. I'm so super excited just to be here. It's an honor. Um, I just want to start out just telling a little bit about myself. My name is Chuntenita Brewington Davis. I am the author of Happily Ever After, or Is It? The Cycle of Loving a Narcissist. There is the book there. I'm so excited about this journey I've taken in writing this book. It's been such an amazing experience for me. Excuse me. Just a little bit about myself. I have a background in sociology, social work, counseling, and I've kind of dabbled in those fields, also disability rehab type of work. I've dabbled in those areas for many years. And I've just always enjoyed the helping professions and just being able to help others, especially those who aren't necessarily in a position to help themselves or, just don't know where to start in doing that. So yeah, I've done that type of work and worked in all kinds of areas from detention centers with juveniles, mental health centers with, from, counseling sessions or private counseling to your like depression and your anxiety or your, what some people may call your milder conditions to like in facilities to like psychotic patients and things like that. So a vast array of experience. And I definitely love it. I enjoy it every day doing it. So it's awesome. A little bit about the journey in writing the book. So I found myself just in a position where I was realizing that I was just in this cycle. And that's pretty much how I got the title of the book, being in this cycle of these relationships. And in the book, I talk about how There were a series of like 5 relationships I've had, like big, major relationships, if you will, throughout my life. And only one of those were like a healthy relationship, if you will. And well, excuse me, a total of 6 relationships, and then 5 of those were unhealthy. And so when it came to my marriage, which I do discuss in the book, it was obviously the fifth relationship, or the fifth of the 5 unhealthy. um, and that relationship was coming to an end. And I just kind of started to do some self reflection and just really think about what brought me to this point, you know. Um, we all have different, problems, different situations that we go through and things like that. But there are certain things that kind of fall into place or cause other things to happen throughout our lives. And I don't think we necessarily really realize it when we are in the thick of whatever the thing is. It's like they say, hindsight is kind of 2020. So it was like I was at a place where I was just kind of thinking, okay, how am I at this place again to another relationship ending? And so that's what kind of brought on the self reflection and self analysis of, what is it in me? Not necessarily that is, oh, I'm just picking and choosing these type of people, but what is it um, that I'm doing or not doing to make it okay for me to indulge in those type of relationships or engage with those type people. And again, the book isn't only about uh, personal or intimate relationships. It's also about figuring out and identifying unhealthy behaviors in any of our relationships. Because there were some friendships that I had where I would find myself um, kind of being used or realizing that, okay, this person is just, trying to get whatever they can get from me. And then once once they had whatever they were looking for or gained or whatever, then they were, out of the picture, or they would stop communicating, until they needed something else. Matter of fact, I actually am in that situation now with a friend, and it's been a long time friend, but I don't know, that kind of dynamic changed, and I can definitely see how it's a need, type relationship. The person only reaches out, when they need something from me, and that's definitely not okay. Let's see. I think I see a question popping up. Definitely feel free to engage, post your questions. Hi, Gnarly. Thank you for your question. I appreciate you watching. How do you know if your partner is narcissistic, or if you are? So the simplest way to answer that is, if you or your partner is ultimately seeking what you want or what they want, I'll answer the first part. Um, Speaking of a partner, and of course, you can apply it to yourself to be able to identify whether you are yourself a narcissist. So, if the partner is only about themselves at the expense of others. Like, excuse me, for example, like I was just saying about my friend, uh, that particular person doesn't necessarily reach out when, oh, just, hey, how you doing, or whatever. It's always about what they want, what they need, um, without the consideration of anyone else. And in the book, I also go into, it mentions that there is a bit of narcissism in all of us, because of course you love yourself. We all love ourselves. But when that, excuse me, healthy narcissism, if you will, um, turns into an obsession or an overindulged love with ourselves, then that's when it becomes a problem. So, in the simplest form, if you are overly self-absorbed, um, selfish, not thinking of others, um, to the point of not being considerate of other people. And of course, there are different characteristics of narcissism and being specifically diagnosed as a narcissist or having narcissistic behavior. Um, and of course, I do not profess to, or excuse me, I do not profess to be, or I will not say that I am licensed as a counselor. So I do not profess ever to diagnose anyone. If you feel that there is something you need to seek treatment about, or if you are in a unhealthy relationship or friendship or whatever, definitely seek appropriate treatment for that. So, yeah, there are different characteristics of it. Of course, the self-absorption is the main thing. If a person is always kind of boasting about themselves, I'm this and I'm that, just to kind of get attention or to make themselves better or appear better than someone else. Um, so different things that you can identify or look at to see. The main thing is, if you feel that something just isn't right, whether that's within yourself, in how you interact with other people, um, if anything that you're doing or anything that you're saying is not considering anyone else, whether that's because you're trying to make yourself look better than someone else, or whether that's because, well, this is what I want, so this is what I'm gonna have, no matter what whoever says, or what, no matter how it hurts someone else, then those are things that you have to definitely take pause and examine yourself or the relationship with that person. That was a good question. I hope that answered that for you. Feel free to submit any follow-ups if needs be. But let's see. Yes, I was speaking of the friendship with my friend. So with that, I kind of, it's also good to make sure you say something, whether it's to that person, whether it's to someone else. I have said something to that person to make sure they're aware. Okay, look, this is seeming a little one-sided, and that's not okay. So it's like, if you want to continue this friendship, then things are going to have to change. And that's okay for you to bring it out. They, of course, they may get mad. They may say, oh, I'm not doing that. That's not what this is. But if you feel that this is not healthy for me, it's okay. It is okay. I say in the book that it is okay to put yourself first. It is all right to prioritize yourself, and it is. And of course, when you're thinking about narcissistic behavior, it's a self-absorption. But the difference is when a person prioritizes themselves, which we all should do because that's healthy. We need a healthy balance, right? So when you prioritize yourself and you still have time for your family, you're still able to interact with others appropriately, you're still able to, do the things you need to do throughout day-to-day life. That's very different than you prioritizing yourself over or at the expense of others. I think that's the main difference is when it's done at the expense of someone else. Um, and I also mention about having your intentions. Your intention behind something is always key. Always. Um, that's another telltale sign is to say, what is my motive behind, you know, going for a spa day instead of doing something else? Okay, well, if you have to help your kids go to, a game, or if you know what I'm saying, just to kind of keep it really simple. Um, it's not to say that you can't have that spa day, or it's not to say that you can't um, do that for yourself after, but our children need us, right? And it means the world to them that we're there for them. So just a real general explanation or example there. Um, yeah, so let's see. And then a little bit about my journey through writing. And in this session, I'm kind of just getting to know you guys and letting you all get to know me. So, again, feel free to put any questions in as you so desire. And I'll, stop my little bio or intro or whatever and address those questions. Um, my journey while actually writing the book, um, like I mentioned in the pre-interview, it was very, very healing for me because I truly, when I was at the point of my marriage ending, I truly wanted to do some soul searching, as they say, and I wanted to do some self analysis, some real um, inner work, to try to figure out what about me or the way I tick and the way I work and things like that. Not necessarily saying, oh, what about me is causing, someone to treat me this way or whatever the case may be. No, but what things within me made it okay for me to accept that type of relationship or behavior or friendship or whatever. And I found myself even accepting it in the workplace, some of my jobs where there were some supervisors that would just, you can have a person that's just an awful person just because, just for general purposes, unfortunately. But um, in that is not okay for them to treat others, uh, wrong or rudely or be inconsiderate, no matter that I'm your uh, subordinate. You know, everyone needs respect, deserves respect, and requires respect, and that is the most important um, factor, really. Respect for yourself, respect for others. Um, and so, yeah, so the working relationship, um, and I would just, talk to my friends about it, like, yo, why is she like this? Or why does this happen? Or whatever the case may be. And it was ultimately through this journey of writing this book, where I really just sat down and like I discuss in the book, understanding your why and how. It's like, why is it that the main question, why is it that I think it's okay for me to accept this type of behavior? That is the question that you ask yourself. Why is it okay? Excuse me, why do I feel it's okay to accept this type of behavior in whatever the type of relationship is? And when you start doing true, for real, inner work to try to answer that question, that's when you can start the process of stopping it. Yes, of course, we have to know how to identify the unhealthy behaviors. Yes, of course. You need to know what's unhealthy. You need to, and all of us have that innate feeling of something that's not right. Now, whether it's narcissism, whether it's just someone being rude, whether it's just, you know, you can delve into all that and kind of analyze all of that, take inventory of whatever the relationship is and analyze all that. But when we take a minute and just truly question within ourselves, why is it that I'm saying it's okay for this type of relationship to happen, for these behaviors to continue, even in your family? um, I'm sure we all have family members that put themselves above others, or try to. Let's see. There's a question popped up. What is the best thing you have discovered in writing the book about dealing with narcissism? That's a good question too. Thank you, JP. I don't want to mess up your last name, so I'm just going to say JP. What is the best thing you have discovered in writing the book about dealing with narcissism? The best thing I've discovered is that you don't have to accept it. Just plain and simple. It's okay for it not to be okay. It is perfectly fine for the relationship, the friendship, the whatever, to not be okay. And it's okay for you to say something about it, to speak up about it. Preferably to the person, if you want to continue whatever the interaction is with the person. And if they choose not to hear you, if they choose not to change or alter whatever that unhealthy thing is, let it go. Because it is not worth your sanity. It is not worth your peace. So the best thing I discovered in writing the book was being okay with saying no, being okay with telling those people that were giving off those unhealthy behaviors, I'm not going to accept this. This is not okay. I am not going to accept this anymore, although I have, obviously, because that was the purpose of the book, because I've experienced these things, but saying no, it is not okay. Thank you for that. Joanne Page commented, what are the signs to look out for to figure out if someone is a narcissist? And so I'll give you just a few here. There are many signs, of course, to look for. Someone who, like I mentioned before, who is self-absorbed within themselves at the expense of others. Someone who is boastful, trying to make themselves better than other people. Let's see. The main things are if they are just trying to somehow, if they make everything about them. that's that's a huge sign. And of course, that's not to say that every single person who is selfish, or every single person who is, that they're a narcissist. That's not what that is. However, there is there are telltale signs that are just uh, significant for looking for unhealthy behaviors across the board. That's not to say, oh, you're a narcissist, but that behavior is still so. Um, there are other telltale signs like let's see. Um, Taking advantage of others, of course, but to achieve their own goals or their own gains. So that's something else. Again, the point of that is because they're selfish tendencies or whatever. Thank you for that question. Sam asks, how does the book emphasize the importance of knowing the why behind our choices and actions in modifying behavior? That's good. Thank you so much, Sam. Um, so it emphasizes the importance of why, in that. So, how does the book emphasize that? I go into my why and how identifying that it was a situation with my father that happened when I was younger, and that was my why. Now, in identifying your own why, what makes that so important is because we can't really understand why we do things, or we can't really understand the behaviors that we do, or um, um, the accepting, until we understand why we do that. For me, it was because there was some. I don't want to go into necessarily all of the situation, but um, my why, it was because I. Um, it was mostly about the self-esteem issue. Okay, and I'm just going to use me as an example. It was a self-esteem issue, and I didn't feel I was good enough because of whatever happened with my father. And so I internalized that. And in doing that, it it set the tone for how I looked at myself in every situation. And with that, not until I understood, oh my gosh, okay, I don't feel like I'm good enough to have this particular job. That's why I didn't, go out for the promotion. So it's like understanding the why is how we can better understand why we do things the way we do and how we can change them. I hope that answered it. Thank you for that. How does the cycle of loving a narcissist empower readers to recognize and dismiss unhealthy behaviors in future interactions? That's a great question as well. Thank you, Michael. Um, it empowers readers to recognize. How does the cycle of narcissists empower readers to recognize and dismiss unhealthy behaviors in future interactions? So it basically teaches, or tells you, helps you to identify and recognize why we accept these behaviors, and then understand how to uh, change those behaviors, or to change yourself from accepting those behaviors. when you understand and recognize your why, when we understand and recognize your why, then we are able to better stop those cycles of unhealthy behaviors and all of that. And in the book, it empowers people to to find that within themselves. Do the work of trying to find that within yourself of why it's okay for you to accept that. First, that's the first thing, and then don't be ashamed of being in a relationship like that, or a friendship like that. Saying no to those behaviors if if you choose to continue on in those relationships, because of course with family, they're still going to be your family. So we can't just cut them off. I mean, you can, of course, cut them off, but they're still going to be your family. And it's like either you can set the standard, or you can put the boundaries there and say, I'm not going to accept this anymore. So in order to continue the relationship, or just cut them off. So the book goes into understanding your why, and then focusing on how that caused you to accept those behaviors, and then making an active decision and change, or making an active decision to change that narrative and to set those boundaries, to no longer accept that behavior. Wow, I thank you guys so much for your time. I thank you for your questions. Those were great questions. I hope I answered them to the best of my ability for you guys. I hope you guys understood those. And please go purchase the book, Happily Ever After, or Is It? The Cycle of Loving a Narcissist, by yours truly, Chuntenita V. Brewington Davis. And you can find that at Amazon.com. Feel free to reach out to me via email, info@cvbrewingtondavis.com. You're welcome to go to the website, cvbrewingtondavis.com. And thank you so much for this space. And thank you all for listening and for your questions. Have a great night.